myself. We'll be here about 2 hours and a half, 2 hours and 15 minutes this morning. I noticed from some of the faces, some of you aren't presenting. I appreciate you being here. You may pick up something. Thanks for that. We're going to go through some of the staff sections today. I have reserved some of the staff sections to be spread out over the open space on finance agenda. I think it's the 9th and the 16th. So if you didn't get your turn Tuesday or today, don't worry. We're going to get to you. There's nothing. Brandy came and talked to me. There's no big ritual here. This is for us to understand what you think you need, why you think you need it, what happens if you get it, what happens if you don't get it. Pretty simple stuff, straightforward. Where is Dr. Day?
She's hiding in the back.
You drew the short straw, Doc. Come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's kill a moment or two with pleasantries till Mr. Crow shows up. There's a kind of a big piece that's a change today, I think, typically. We're going to hear Saban Center, which obviously is, it's a big, big deal, but it's going to show up under your aegis here.
Yes.
What was the logic there?
For the Saban Center being under Arts and Entertainment, I think Carly would be able to answer that better than me.
So the grouping of the expenditures is really just about financial cost centers. It's really much more of a financial reporting issue and not necessarily a department conglomeration issue. So Saban Center is not really under Arts and Entertainment as far as a department goes. It's really its own operating entity and section. It's just because it is within the categorization
So
of
not
Arts and
from
Entertainment.
not from an operational standpoint, purely from a financial.
From a financial reporting standpoint.
All right. Let's see. Mr. Crowe, we saved you a seat, center stage down here.
Very much appreciated, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Pat.
And Kay, if you would, when you start, just ease us down into how you've organized your department and reported.
Okay. So under Arts and Entertainment, we have the Gateway, we have the River Market, we have special events, and we have the Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater. That all comes under Arts and Entertainment. I'd like to point out under special events, we also do all the permitting for the parks, parades, different things like that, and all the commemorative lighting requests goes through them. So basically for last year, we managed to combine 271 events, process 103 permits, and process 20 commemorative lighting requests.
Give us some examples, big and small, of what you deal with there.
For special events, Mayor's Cup, Decaf, Holidays on the Plaza, Tech or Treat, are some of our bigger events. And then smaller, I would say, are the processing of the permits. And when we do that, I send y'all, good morning, I send y'all the report that we do every 2 weeks. We have a combined meeting with a lot of different departments throughout the city. So it's not us denying or approving a permit. We get TPD involved, we get fire and rescue involved, we get CFG involved, all these different departments to say, is there a reason why we should or should not do this permit? And it's always around safety. It's always around safety, whether they're approved or denied. Okay, so I gave you my org chart. Sorry. Good morning.
Thank you.
So we do all of this with 19 full-time positions. Currently, we have 2 vacancies. That's for a senior crew worker position.
I just need to understand, either way's okay. But we just talked about the Savings Center for Financial. When you're talking about 19 employees, is that are you is
Yes, sir.
Audrey's you're excluding
Yes, sir.
everything she's gonna bring?
Yes, sir. So Audrey doesn't report to me, her staff doesn't. She's completely Saban Center. From what I'm responsible for, there's
So
19.
19 is arts and entertainment pure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, we have 2 current vacancies. So
So you're funded at 21, you're 2 vacant right now, is that, how do you normally run? Is that about normal?
that's normal for us. Our vacancies usually do run in the special event crew department. They get all excited when they're hired, when they think they're going to be helping out with concerts. Then they do that for a season, and they roll into holidays on the plaza. Our guys will start building the ice rink October the 16th. So all of a sudden, you've gone from working out in the heat, putting up all the chairs, doing all the work that we do, and now you're going into building an ice rink. Usually we have people start to peel off about this time because it is a lot of hard work, and we're very, very blessed that Barry Franklin and Chris Brook continue to stay with us and do an excellent job.
Okay. So
Compared to the FY 2025 original budget, overall salaries and benefit increase of $222,325 is attributed to an 8.3 rise in the health insurance premiums, the 3% cost of living adjustments, and the 1-step increase. Excluding salaries and benefits, the total department budget is level funded to the FY 2025 with a few exceptions. There is a decrease of $370 in auto fuel maintenance to reflect expected cost and department usage. There's a decrease of $14,634 in utilities based on current market rates and projections. And there's a net increase of $218,935 in other operating due to eliminating the Red Mountain Entertainment contract and increasing machine rental fees. I also would like for you to note that we moved the special event crew salaries and benefits, including taxes, pension, and insurance, from the Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater over to the special event department. They now report up through Nicole. And
So
that-
is that, when
I'm
I see roughly a $500,000
Yeah, that's,
decrease in amphitheater? Is
yes,
that what that is?
yes, sir.
So does it follow that if I look down 4 lines, it shows up in other special events?
It should be a difference in $248,357 that were moved to special events. Yes, sir. The one big difference this year, I think that's going to happen in arts and entertainment is Holidays on the Plaza. I think everybody enjoys that event. We sure do. This year, we'll be staging that event on October the 6th, and we'll start the build on October the 13th. But this year, we've decided to mirror the same opening and closing dates as the Tinsel Trail. And so this year, we'll be opening November 24th, which is the Monday before Thanksgiving, instead of the day after Thanksgiving. And the final day will be New Year's Day versus Martin Luther King Day. We just realized that when we looked at the numbers and the weather and everything else, it just made more sense to go ahead and do it this way. So we'll have a total of 273 operational hours for Holidays on the Plaza this year with 33 days. And we've extended Sunday hours from 1 to 8 p.m. instead of 1 to 5. We listened to what people were asking us for, so we've increased those hours. And the single-day passes will remain at $15.
I try never to miss an opportunity to compliment your people on that. That is a home run. That is family entertainment. TPD keeps it family suitable out there.
Yes, sir.
And it's just a wonderful event to see kids, old folks.
Thank you.
Y'all do a great job.
And if I could take the opportunity to say, everything that my department does is literally supported by everyone in this room.
Yeah, I didn't mean to exclude that. I
Right,
just,
right.
I'm so lazy, that's the one I
No.
mostly go to.
But I'm just saying, it gives me the opportunity to thank each and every one of them. I mean, you know, Chief Blankley's at our concerts. We've got, you know, fire and rescue. Everything is about safety. Everything that we do is about safety. So I appreciate that. Even Selvin helps us out. So I appreciate that.
Happily or grudgingly?
Yeah, a little, you know, he's a little grumpy, but that's all right. We love him. So that's really the biggest change for us is, like I said, the holidays on the plaza. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, walk me through some of those individually. For example, Gateway, what's going on there?
So-
We're seeing, you know, there's 67,000 reduction. You know, we're scaling down there. Tell me what's going on.
So Gateway, I'm very proud of the fact that Asia Patrick has done a great job with a great attitude of holding down the Gateway. I just think we never realized what we wanted to be when we grew up over at the Gateway. To stay on top of technology, it's so expensive. You know, you can order something today, and tomorrow when you actually get it, it's already dated. So
Saving Center, Saving Center,
Yeah.
Saving.
They're going to do a great job at that. But for us, we've really decreased all of the staff over there. Asia's been holding it down. She's my only full-time employee, and we just hired another part-time person that helps her out over at the Gateway. We've also changed the hours to Monday through Friday. And so what we do at the Gateway is we hold a lot of meetings over there. The meeting space is really great. And people come in and they can check out devices, iPads, things like that. So it's still great for the community, but like I said, we're sort of in a holding pattern.
Mr. Busby, and Ms. Day is trying to be nice. I can give you a little bit more of a detailed answer. I know Mr. Fell's been part of these discussions, and so has Mr. Tyner. For about a year, we worked with Focus in trying to reach an agreement for a potential site at the Gateway, not only including a nominal lease on the building, but also $1.5 million in tenant improvements. Unfortunately, we never were able to reach an agreement in time. Then with the budget slowdown this past summer, we just took a step back when we froze different projects. And so right now, we're looking at potential other options as well. We don't know what the best course of action with the Gateway should be. And so we're exploring that with Mr. Fell, with Mr. Tyner, to try to figure out what should it
Still
be.
trying to figure out what we want to be when we grow up?
Well, we thought a technology library back in 2012 and 13 after the tornado. The Gateway was built with disaster recovery funds. And there had been a long since, you know, this drive to have a branch in East Tuscaloosa of the Tuscaloosa Public Library, or some branch of the library. The Gateway never took hold like we thought it would take hold. And so now we're trying to figure out what should be its next iteration. It's a great building, great technology. It's in a great place that hopefully at some point we'll see the Leland Shopping Center redevelop across the street from it. It's trying to figure out what's the next, you know, fit. We were unable to get there with Focus, but we learned a lot of lessons through that process. We're going to keep internally exploring other options. In the meantime, Ms. Day and her team have been very good soldiers and just carrying out the mission still for the community today. I don't know where we are in terms of having something before you or a timeline before you, but we're going to just continue to explore options and see what's out there. And if you have any ideas, please let us know, or anyone who's truly interested. And when I mean interested, it's not just about filling a vacant space. It's about doing something that's dynamic for the community. That's what we want. I know Mr. Tyner absolutely wants that. It's something he's been very involved in. So we'll
It'd be a great location for the right set, for something special. I think it's a great location. And I went over there a good bit several years ago, and there was always somebody in there with their email, and people that don't have internet. I know some people think everybody has internet, Mayor, but they don't. But it's a great location.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
So is that good for Gateway?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for special events, I'll go to next. You know, we do all the Elevate events, Mayor's Cup, Live at the Plaza, I forgot to mention. The household,
What was the other?
Live at the Plaza,
Wow.
yes, sir. So we changed that to every May and June, just with the weather, and we still had some rain dates unfortunately this year, but that's a great event for us.
That's
I mean,
another
you know, it's free and open to the public, citizens love it. It's just that time of year when everybody can start getting outside. So we do Nicole does a great job with that, and Matt Jones. The Household Hazardous Waste Day, the Druid City Arts Festival. Really, nothing's changing. I think the biggest challenge for that department is just the permitting is just challenging. You know, and I try to make sure that each of the city councilors know if we're going to deny a permit, I try to let you know that it's being denied and why, so that if you get a call, that you can be supportive of what we're doing. But that's just a challenge.
Okay, which of those special events, and we don't need a ton of granularity or detail, but which of those are your money makers? Which are your hands-off financially that take care of themselves, and which have to be nursed and subsidized financially? And by the way, that question is not about the desirability of those events. We
Yes.
recognize some are just not going to sustain themselves financially.
Yes, sir. So even though we were up on the revenue last year for holidays on the plaza, we did come in with a little over a $27,000 loss for that event over what was budgeted. We do get with the ice skating
Wait, a
sponsor
loss or over what was budgeted?
over a loss of what was budgeted. A loss?
27,000 more than revenue, or there's no revenues brought in?
Yeah, I'm over what was budgeted for the event. The
What
total
was
amount budgeted, we came in $27,000 short.
And what was budgeted?
$205,156.
Okay.
And so even though that event loses money, we're trying to think of ways to increase sponsorships, you know, those kinds of
I hear
things.
you, and again, that event is a huge success.
Yes, sir. The Mayor's Cup, I'm very proud of what we're able to do with that. Last year, we had the largest number of participants that we've ever had.
Very close to 2,000?
Over 2,000.
Over
Yes,
2,000?
sir. And I think it was 2,054. But we were able to give some monies back to pre-K. I think what we're focusing, I'm
Give
sorry.
some monies back to pre-K.
I'm sorry. I'm going to slow down.
Okay.
We were able to give pre-K
I mean,
a
pre-K is
donation.
kind of the designated
Benef-
beneficiary of
Yes,
the
sir.
raise.
Yes, sir. And so, and that's after us paying all of the expenses. We
So the
don't,
event covered its costs and put
yes,
some
and we
money
were able to make a donation.
about how much?
I don't have that with me.
Ballpark. 5,000, 50,000.
Less than, close to 5.
Close to
All right.
five.
Yes, sir.
We-
And,
I was just gonna, again, she's tiptoeing here, and
Were you out there pressing 54 friends into running suits?
This year, our proceeds were a little bit lower. If you recall, we had additional security concerns that we had to put into place for the event, just at the time and place and what was going on. And as with all city events, we have to pay our full cost, even if it's the mayor's stuff. So that really hurt on the revenue.
And same comment.
I mean, the expense.
That's a winner of an event. You have seen, how long has that been going on? 15 years?
17 years.
I mean, to have
Or maybe-
watched it grow up to a couple of thousand people. What else?
Live at the Plaza, we probably lose about $10,000 a season. We try to increase the sponsorships, but this year with the weather and, you know, we had to pay people even though the weather. when
It
we-
started raining every Friday
Yes, sir.
at 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a fun job. But like I said, some of those, we drew over 3,000 people. So, I mean, I know we're not debating that. But everything else, we come in under budget. So, I mean, we really do manage those, I think, really well. And one of the focuses that Nicole's working on this year is increasing sponsorships. Is one of the things we're really looking at Holidays on the Plaza. Because we're not adding new events, it's like I've challenged them to make each one have something a little different every year.
Is the winter holiday, is that a money break even?
The
Because
Holidays
they've got
on the Plaza.
1,000 Christmas trees out there.
Oh, Holidays on the Plaza?
Yeah.
Let's see, I think I just said right at 30,000 is what we lost last year, 27,000. But part of that is, our chiller expense. I mean, that is a huge expense for us. The event staff that we have out there, so that's really what are our two biggest expenses. And we try to manage that very well, but with the chiller, there's, it is what it is. Glycol that we use, so when you build the rink, you put the panels down and then you've got to roll out the coils. Inside those coils go glycol, and that can be almost $6,000 a barrel is what the expense is. Every expense is going up. And so that's a huge expense, but that's what keeps the ice cold. So you have to have it. So that's part of that challenge.
Does the weather ever affect how much of that we can use, or like you just have to keep it cold at a certain temp?
You have to keep that running the whole time. The chiller will go up and down depending on the weather, but and Eric, if I'm not saying that correct, I'm sorry. I'm not the chiller expert, but I know the chiller remains running at all times. The weather really hurts us when it starts raining. It kind of makes divots in the ice, and then it's hard to keep the ice going. And then sometimes, it can get up to 65 degrees during Holidays on the Plaza. So then, unfortunately, the mayor's getting calls, that ice isn't what it should be. Well, we are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so we do our very, very best, but that's a challenge. And to keep staff out there with great attitudes. I mean, they're
They
out in the
always do
elements.
have a great attitude. That's
No.
nice during the holidays.
Thank you.
Okay,
So,
let's shift to the elephant in your living room, the amphitheater.
okay, we're excited
What
about it.
what was the logic behind shifting those crews into special events from the amphitheater?
Well, when you look at the events that they oversee and they help us with, the amphitheater is a smaller portion than everything else
So
Nicole's
it better
doing.
reflects the reality of the.
Yes, sir. And when you look at, every groundbreaking, every ribbon cutting, those guys are the ones, we only may be out there for 15 minutes, but they've had a lot of prep work to make that happen. And then they get out there at 6:30 in the morning, get everything set up so that when everybody shows up, it's just a seamless process. And they also help out at the River Market every Saturday. They drive the golf carts, and then they also do the flip at the River Market, because we have a farmer's market every Saturday for 50 weekends of the year, and then usually that night there's a prom, there's a wedding, there's a big event, and they help flip those rooms.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hey, talk a little bit, and I apologize for being a couple minutes late. If you talk about this, I apologize up front, but talk a little bit about the vision and the changes at the amphitheater, because I feel like we know we've hired somebody new to
Yes.
manage it, but I feel like this year has been kind of more of a transition year
Absolutely.
into this, and talk about where we are, where you see this going.
Okay.
Because I think we all want the amphitheater to be a positive thing for the community, and it always has been. It's a great venue, but where we can make some money
Yes, sir.
with part of this.
Well-
So tell me what's kind of going on and what you see happening this next year.
Okay, so this year, I made the decision to stop booking shows. We looked and saw what the trends were going on in the country, and tickets just weren't selling the way that we thought that they would. And so why would we continue to book shows just to book shows and not make money on them? So I would rather put everything into next year is what we're looking for. This year, we were also up against the Coca-Cola Amphitheater. And I'd like to go back basically 3 years ago. You know, they've done a great job with that facility. Love the competition, love what they're doing, appreciate that. But we started not getting the shows that we wanted starting 3 years ago with that company, with Red Mountain, and complaining about not getting our fair share, basically. They didn't wake up the day before they announced that they were going to build the Coca-Cola Amphitheater. They had been planning that, but we were unaware of it, okay? And they were supposed to be out there representing us. So this year, not only did we just have challenges because we are going through a transition with our booking company, but we went up against the Coca-Cola Amphitheater. I would like to, let me see here. We went after so many shows that this is the number of shows that we went after last year.
Can I see a list of those shows?
I'm sorry?
Can I see a list of those shows?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't make enough for everybody. But it takes just as much time to find these shows as the ones that were passed on and not available. Most of those shows were booked at the Coca-Cola Amphitheater, so we didn't have a shot at them. That's a Live Nation venue. Those are Live Nation tours, so they were booked there. This year, when we went with DWP, the Red Mountain contract ended in December of last year, and so DWP they were at a disadvantage coming out of the gate. Basically, if by October you don't have things lined up for the amphitheater or any venue, you're behind the 8 ball. So a lot of the shows that we were fortunate enough to get this year was because of the relationships with DWP. The Ringo Stars, you can say, oh, we got an old guy. He's a Beatle, right? I mean, we had a Beatle in Tuscaloosa. We just had Pitbull this past Friday, great show. Theo Vaughn, we typically don't do comedy. Started off our season this year and sold us out. But moving forward, I also brought this so that you could see. So, a lot of people, there's comments out there just in the industry that tickets aren't selling. So, that's a list of about 30 places that their tickets are on sale for $25, for $30. The Orion just did, end of summer, buy 3, get 4 tickets. We're all chasing that money right now. The tickets, I think it's the economy, just aren't selling the way that we had hoped for them to. So what I'm excited about with DWP is the relationships that they're allowing us to have that we've never had at the amphitheater, Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater. They want us to know the agents. They want people to know when you come to Tuscaloosa who's going to be taking care of you. So when we now have people coming to the venue, I'm much more involved backstage, getting to know the people that are running those tours. And in this industry, it's all about who you know and how you take care of those people. So one of the things about DWP that's very exciting that I'm going to share this with you. So what I've just given you is a list of all the bands that DWP booked last year for Bourbon and Beyond. So Bourbon and Beyond is one of their 8 festivals that they produce. They do over 100 shows, and 100 bands in 4 days in Louisville. They work very closely with the city of Louisville. They bring in millions and millions of dollars to the city. So the thing about this list, as you'll see on there, it's Dave Matthews, it's Zach Bryan, it's, all different kinds of genres, but their big Sting was there. they're not just no names, they're big name acts. One of the things that we want to look at in the very near future is doing festivals. I mean, when I got here 8 years ago, everybody talked about city stages. And boy, we'd love to have that back.
We really
Well, you know, that doesn't happen overnight. And one of the advantages of working with DWP, that is what they do. That is their heart and soul. They also do manage other amphitheaters. They manage the Iroquois in Louisville, Kentucky. It's not as big as ours, but when they do something, they're going to do it right. And so, like I said, I'm very excited working with them. They help us with our marketing. We have an incredible attorney's office here that helps with entertainment, but there's a difference in having an entertainment attorney. They redline all of our contracts for us. Most contracts for a tour averages 48 pages, and you have to go through every one of those pages and redline what we will and will not do. They provide that to us, then our attorney looks over it and says, yes, this is fine. But so they're helping us along the way. This has been a transition year, but we're very excited about with their help, where we're going. And I can't go into who we already have on hold for next year. And I'm tired of talking about it. It's just like, I can't wait to show everybody what we're going to be able to do with them, with partnering with DWP. It's very exciting.
Members or non-committee members, any other questions?
So I just want to say thank you for how you have been trying to manage this season, and I welcome the idea of us bringing back City Fest. I think that's what it was called when I was younger,
Yes.
City Fest.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
a lot of people talk about that, and I think having that festival, those shows all in 1 week kind of help get ticket sales up too.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank y'all for your
Okay,
support.
thank you. It went a little longer than I planned, but you're very much the retail face of so many of our people. Your events are what people in Tuscaloosa see.
Thank you for y'all's support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Buck, you want to come up and tell us about Sabin Center?
How are y'all?
Good, how are you? Audrey, we've got you on page
So we're on page 65.
65. Okay, why don't you start by telling us where you are right now in this huge process?
Okay, sure. So I think everybody was in
We've left the
attendance.
contract.
We have the contract. We are actually under construction. There are walls that are going up as we speak, which is exciting. And we are still wrapping up our capital fundraising, but we will be moving into our annual fundraising very soon. I've provided you guys with what our org chart will look like as we move forward. During this budget cycle, we're really only adding one position, but we will start to build those up over the next 2 years. So,
So you, the mark on the wall for opening is fall of 27?
27, yes.
So fiscal year 26 for you is what phase of where you're going?
So we will be continuing to develop the exhibits. So we have put out the budget or the contract for the actual building. But the exhibits themselves, you guys, you looked at that contract, I guess we passed it 2 weeks ago. And so we will be refining those. We will be working with the fabricator. We're actually going to be taking a trip to go work with them in the next 2 weeks. So that will continue to happen over this next year as those are developed. We will be building out our staff. The STEM hub will start to come online with the funding that the state brought in. So we will start to work with those employees, start to build that staff up and start to design what that looks like. There will be a slew of operating. We will work very closely on, getting how we're going to get open. You can't just turn the lights on. It's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to build all of our protocols, all of our safety, how we operate, how each of the rooms operate. There's a lot of shared spaces within this building. So the SC Foundation, again, we have this sort of umbrella organization, and then we have our 3 tenants that have their own boards, they have their own operating budgets, but the umbrella organization will handle everything from fundraising to the communications, to the website, to the grounds, keeping up our facilities, etc. So if you look at the staff structure that I handed out, again, this is something that we will build out. The director, the special projects coordinator, those are already online right now. And then, of course, the director of development, that's Brant's position, so there's 3 of us. The one that we would be bringing on for 26 is the director of facilities operations. And then Carly also will be hiring an accountant position that will help her and us as we start to build out the pro formas.
Okay, let me hold you up. So for for the budget year that we're talking about now, who's your crew?
I'm sorry?
Who is your crew?
Who's my crew? So there's the 3 of us. So there's myself, there is Lindsay, who is our special projects coordinator, and then we have Brant. But Brant is actually paid through our SC Foundation. So it's really Lindsay and I that are over here on this side of the
And
house.
is that what it looks like through FY '26? I know the mayor mentioned in his kind of presentation remarks, I thought a couple of new positions.
Yes, so that's that director of operations position. So that's, if you look down and to the right, that's that director of operations that we would bring on this year. We would bring on in the following years our business manager and our communications specialist. But for this year, we would bring that facility operator person on board, and then again, Carly would bring on that accountant position to help with our
That
financials.
shows in your budget or in the standard?
It shows in Ms. Standridge's, yes.
When do you expect to hire a director of operations? I don't know what's going on, so it seems a little early.
It's actually really late. So,
Okay, explain that.
yeah, so there's just so much that's involved in how the building functions. When we start to really spec out all of the large systems, that person needs to be involved. They need to be working with our city, everybody from Eric's crew to IT. So that person is really setting out and setting the stage for how this thing's going to operate on a daily basis. So it's really important to get them on board as soon as possible.
So Audrey, if I'm looking at the salaries line under the Saban Center, as 25 goes from 214,000 to a recommendation of 379,000, that 160,000, is that the director of facility operations? Is that what I'm seeing there?
That's for that position. That is making my position a full-time position. I think if you remember, I've been sort of in a funny temporary role.
Are you shown now in urban development?
I think I'm now in arts and entertainment. Lindsay and I should be in our arts and entertainment and should have been for the last maybe 2 years, 3.
Okay, so not in you're not,
Yeah,
so you're going to full-time?
yes. I think I've always been full-time, right, Mayor? I've always been full-time, right?
grants compensated out of the Saban Center Foundation.
That's correct.
And then you talked about winding up the capital campaign now, right? And that, as we've been briefed, we're aware that we're around $35 million
That's correct.
pledged over the next 8 or 9 years. And then you mentioned an annual fundraising. Is the annual fundraising or annual capital campaign, is that just the annual booster shot to the capital campaign, or is that aimed at operating funding, or what?
That will be separate. So we will wrap up the capital campaign, and then when we move into annual fundraising, that is to help with our operations.
That's to sustain.
That's to help
operation.
sustain, but we will be fundraising as a whole. So when I talk about that umbrella organization, that fundraising piece will fundraise for all the tenants involved. So we will work with them on special things that they may need. If there is a certain exhibit we want to add, if there is a stage we need to repurpose, if there is something that we specifically need to go for, we will also do that during the annual campaigns. But it will definitely be for the operating of the building. That way you don't have 4 different entities going to the same people and trying to fundraise. It will be a centralized ask.
And then Audrey, we've had some discussion on the updating of the pro forma operating budget. And then Mayor, you mentioned this was in here, in this budget plan.
I don't know if it's specifically in here, but we do have a pro forma that I think may have been distributed earlier this summer, but Ms. Standards is coming up, right?
Yeah, so, hi. So the annual pro forma for the Saban Center continues to be, updated as we go forward. We did distribute, I think the very truncated version about 4 months ago when we were really looking at doing the contract with Stone. It is not reflected in this budget because we're not fully building out yet, but the ultimate pro forma is really first year full operations, which will really be
That's fine.
2028.
But I do want to see the full version of
Oh,
what we think it looks like as
I think you,
Oh, sure.
and I apologize for interrupting, if you do want to see a snapshot of that, you can look in the River District Fund, which at some point when we discuss Elevate, you will see it'll have what we believe to be the subsidy amount, not necessarily the pro forma, the subsidy amount from the city and the operation and maintenance costs as well is included in that in fiscal 28.
27, 28. It starts in 27, and then the real full first year of operations is fiscal 28.
Which is what I think where you want to go is, what's it ultimately going to cost the city of Tuscaloosa?
well. I do ultimately want to know what it costs the city of Tuscaloosa, but I want to know how we get there. And so that would include the entire pro forma. What are we not having to cover because it's being covered out of somebody else, operational revenue?
Yeah, so a lot of the pro forma is going to be the interconnectivity between Ignite, TCT, Nick's Kids, and then the Saban Center Foundation, all rolled up, and the STEM Hub kind of all rolled up together, and then how that affects the city's financing. So that is what the pro forma shows.
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed, at some point, I'm sure we're gonna get an update on Ignite. I still, maybe speak Chom, but I know Chom is planning on closing this year in preparation for all that. At what point are we gonna be talking about their budget, what they're gonna be doing? Will they come present to us, Audrey, or are we just gonna kind of go over? Because there's a lot of issues with that that's gotta be dealt with, I know, for that to go on with Ignite. And they've got property, what does their budget look like going forward?
Yeah, so each of the tenants have their own pro formas. They have their own business plans. They will continue to have their own boards. So they will be their own separate entities, and they.
But do those not roll up into ours? I
They
mean,
do.
Since we're the backstop.
We are, that's correct, and they do have percentages that they put towards their budget, towards the operations of the building. That's part of our pro forma that we have. So, but yes, so CHOM is becoming Ignite, and they will close their building next year. That gives them time to clean it out, to start to build up their staff. They're actually trying to hire an executive director as we speak that will run Ignite at Saban Center, and that person will start to put together that staff specifically for a science discovery center. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
So
But
I guess like, and to kind of like to detail into that, so CHOM is not going to come, or Ignite is not going to come and defend their general budget to the city council because they have their own operating board.
Don't want them to.
However, the understanding
what
of
it
the
is.
subsidy amount
Right.
is really going to be the piece that we would be talking about with
because
this.
because we're still funding them through agency funding.
Correct.
Correct.
And
Correct.
what does that number look like in the next 2 or 3 years?
Right.
Because I would think the vast majority of their revenue is coming from the city, correct?
It
Or
is.
not?
One of the things we've
everything.
encouraged TCT Ignite is they really need to be reaching out to their other funding partners. This facility will not only serve 10,000 children in our own school system, it's going to serve 18 to 19,000 in the county school system. This needs to be something that's a community lift. So we've encouraged them to please have those conversations. It's not fair to county commissioners or city councilors in Northport to hit them in fiscal '27. Please begin talking to them early and have those
Well,
conversations.
and I understand they're gonna have their own boards and all that, but they are an agency funding. I mean, I know they have revenue, Carly, I know they're charging admissions, they're getting money from the county, I'm assuming a little bit from Northport. But,
They will still need support, for sure.
right,
But
Yes.
but I would like to say that especially Ignite, there is no planned severe escalation of their need for funding from the city
From us.
due to this transition. I think in all of the workings that we've done to try and meld the interconnectivity of the agencies, we don't project a huge, what we're funding them now for agency funding is worked into that pro forma.
Well,
remind me what that is, 175, 100, what are we
it's-
funding them now?
I think it's 150.
maybe 150,
Right.
175.
I just.
It's in my book back there. I can go look. If I
Yeah,
need
it's
it.
fine, but I mean, I think that's a component and would be in this budgetary process that the chairman's talking about, right? Of looking at that River District Fund, looking at
Oh, absolutely.
what is gonna be funded, what we're
Oh,
paying
yes.
for the services we're providing in that building for them and what they're paying back.
Right,
Well-
absolutely.
Through rent or whatever, shared expenses, utilities, whatever that is.
Right, and TCT is, have also, in our partnership, asked them to become a much more advanced organization, and so they have been growing over these last few years as well. But again, this is a big lift, and of course, they will still need support.
Last question, and then I'm gonna let you. How do we treat, I'm assuming that by allowing, or incorporating TC Ignite into the Savings Center, that involves a subsidy on our part? In terms of the cost, I mean, that's a pretty fine facility.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like renting, a concrete block building somewhere. How do we, are we incorporating some sort of subsidization into that, and how do we treat that?
So we
That's
are,
really more.
within any of the operating contracts that we're going to be drafting with TCT, with Ignite, with the STEM Hub, there will be a portion of the operating expenses that will be charged to those organizations for them to pay back to the city. It will be their, percentage, their square footage percentage of,
And that's a market-based
yes,
number
sir.
calculation?
Well, it's going to be based on actuals, but yes.
But there is also, within Savings Center, there is multiple shared spaces throughout the building. And so those pieces, that is part of our Elevate budget. And
Yeah, and again, you've even seen the contract with Jenna Bueller, who is helping us kind of build out the pro formas. We have a good base of it, but it continues to, as the building goes up, we will start to see some fine tuning of certain things such as HVAC usage, electricity usage, things of that nature. And so the pro forma will likely be modified in certain areas throughout the next year, which is why I think that when we are ready to present the pro forma for the 2027 fiscal year, you will see all of that into play, and we can go into great detail with it.
The other thing I'd like to add to this is early on, several years ago, when we began these discussions with CHOM, which is now Ignite, we talked about the sale of their building next door. The sale of their building next door. And one of the things the city would like to see is, if at all possible, it goes back into the private sector. I think that would be, a good thing if at all possible. Number two was how to take the proceeds of that sale and contribute that into the Savings Center. Now, whether that is a contribution back to the capital campaign, whether it's a creation of an endowment that keeps any, future subsidies by the city very low. Those discussions have yet to be had. I know now, as they begin to embark on a new executive director, they can begin thinking about those discussions. Those will begin in earnest, I imagine, in the next several months, and at some point, we'll be back to the city council to discuss where we are.
Mr. Mayor, to your point though earlier about longer-term funding from other partners other than the city, because it's an important thing to the city, Ignite is. But I would encourage them to make sure they're talking to their longer-term funders about what's coming, in the next 2 years, because that's important, because if other people don't support that, then what happens?
And the county, to their credit, Mr. Crow, has been a very good supporter of CHOM.
And I would assume they would continue to be a big supporter. But you almost want to line that up, because if funding changes there, that's going to change this pro forma down the road, potentially, or they're going to have to figure out other revenue sources or whatever.
And those contingencies are one reason why we're not solid on a pro forma currently, and it's still a work in progress, and that's why we continue to work with Jenna on refining all of that.
Makes sense.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Buck.
Y'all have any other
No,
questions?
I think we're close.
Okay.
So you need $501,000
Yes.
for FY '26.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
and
y'all.
the lion's share of that is salary.
That's
benefits.
correct. Yes.
Any other questions either from
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank
Raven,
y'all.
anything? All right. I know y'all are all crushed. We took so much time on that. Who's next up? Let me see.
It's on you, Mr. Chair.
I know, I sent it out last night. I think it's CFG. Come on, Eric, we don't want y'all dressed up for nothing. Get up here and tell us what you need for the year. What page, Brandon?
Good morning, council.
Hang on one second, let's catch up with your page. Good morning. Page 77. Okay, good morning.
All right, good morning. So CFG is comprised of 130 employees. Right now, we're down about 16, hoping to get some of those hired back here pretty soon. The majority of them are going to be in grounds. But the proposed budget, has very few increases. Typically, it's going to be wages going up, the one-step increase, insurance. Got a net decrease in operating expenditures of about 13,000, almost 14,000. And then where you see a lot of our increase is going to come from Elevate, and it's going to be reimbursed to us through that. Some of the parks we've picked up, maintenance on, just sending the guys out there. We've got straw, mulch, just things that go into operating the parks. So happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, you mentioned parks. I mean, I know from personal observation, y'all are out in Shelby Park nearly every day.
We should be out there every day.
And I'm assuming that the other parks that we have assumed from para, correct?
Correct.
And I know that in the budget process, we've made adjustments for that assumption of park responsibility from para.
Correct.
Adjustments in what we fund to para. From an operating standpoint, I mean, here's, you know, my concern, my observation is we're acquiring a stealth parks department. Doesn't say Parks Department anywhere in there. Construction facilities, but effectively, we're acquiring something over time that begins to look like that. From a maintenance and operations standpoint, what is that dictating for you?
So we're, with everything that we're picking up, as well as Shelby Park, the expectation is for the guys to be out there each day, making sure that it looks okay, making sure that for instance, Shelby has a restroom, making sure that that restroom meets our standard, making sure that the trash cans are not overflowing, that they're getting emptied on a regular basis, and just making sure that the grass is getting cut. Typically, we're on a 1 to 2 week timetable as far as when it's going to get cut out. At Shelby, we have a little bit different situation with the mowers, with the robot mowers, but I mean, that's our expectation.
But what I'm getting at is that dictating a meaningful paradigm change from simply being construction, facilities, and grounds to operating and maintaining parks?
So we look at it the same way
I
as we
mean,
do.
the answer could be, no, we got flex space in our work crews, no big, what?
No, so we're at a very good staffing level. Typically, we run about 10% down just from the nature of kind of how we're operating out there. We generally have, more openings in grounds from either people moving up, or it's not an easy job, especially when it's 100 degrees in the summer. So with the full-time employees, I think we're at a good level staffing-wise. If we could get, 100% staffed, I think everyone would appreciate that a lot more. But,
I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
to follow that thought, Father. So I know Shelby, that's in your district. So we
It's
have.
used primarily by your district.
You're right. We enjoy it. So I can't remember all of the parks, but I know we have Carlton Park that we recently
Correct.
acquired about 2 or 3 weeks ago in my district. I mean, years ago in my district. Then we got Springbrook, that's new. And then I think we have one. Burrell Odom. So like when you're thinking about all of the parks, like Mr. Buzzy was saying, we don't have a parks department, and I get far less concerns now than, before we took over that park. So I'm good. I don't have any issues or concerns, and when we have, they've been handled like immediately. But do you foresee us needing like a parks department to make sure we handle all of them?
So right now, the majority of the parks that we've taken over are going to be Elevate, and so those are all funded through Elevate.
Okay. Okay.
I think we're at a very good staffing level. We were able to get some positions.
And Mayor, you actually stepped out. This conversation is revolving around, we are de facto acquiring a stealth parks. There's no department in the city, Parks and Recreation. But as we bring more and more pocket parks and this park and that Elevate park under city control, and as we make adjustments in our funding of para to reflect that, my question to Eric was, what, if any, paradigm changes are you seeing coming your way? It's one thing to cut the grass, okay? It's another thing repairing fountains, check. It's another thing policing parks, making
And
sure people aren't
restrooms.
smoking dope. Those are all,
And the Riverwalk is
Just
included
we should
into
look at
that
it.
too, right? The Riverwalk, so,
I was just,
Smoke that.
it just struck
No, I
me as
mean,
funny, Colonel
and
Busby. But
we know, I think, that there are there's more than cutting grass. And you simply cannot have parks without supervisory personnel.
This goes back, in 2021, we tried to reshape the dynamic of para and how it interacted, not just with the city, but with Northport and the county. It didn't work for whatever reason. So we decided to take a new approach, and really since Brian Davis's ascension to executive director, our approach has been, we want to maintain the parks as much as possible. I think we now maintain 11 parks, but we have no desire to be in the softball business or basketball registration
Yeah.
business. So, for example, the tennis center, as you'll see in my budget, actually the funding increased by $296,000 or so because of the growth of the tennis center, the new courts. Is going to take more to manage it. That's what para can do. The pickleball courts in Mr. Crow's district, again, para managing it. Mr. Fell's pickleball courts. We don't want to do that. But what we do want to do is take care of the asset. So where we've had 11 parks taken over that there's been investments by Elevate, we just can do a better job of responding. We can do it on more of a 24/7. I think that's why, Mr. Eatman is really, him and I are looking at Freeman Park. The other decision that we made about 3 or 4 years ago, and I give Chief Blankley a lot of credit on this, is we wanted to turn our parks to public safety hubs. That's why we spend the extra money on the lighting and the cameras, so that the community can feel safe. And the bad guys know if you're going to do something wrong, chances are we're going to find you. And so it's really been a very positive relationship. And Brian Davis, this has not been something done stealth with para. It's been something done in partnership with para, because I think he would readily admit they didn't have the resources to take care of the facilities just by the nature of their funding, which has been an issue since 1968 or 69 when it was created.
Okay, the park ranger piece is not settled.
We have struggled on that, and I don't know where we are. I'd have to ask Chief Blankley or Dr. Day.
Is
where
the
we are.
police, I know we started that out in arts and entertainment. And then we moved it to law enforcement. And then, so I'll talk with Chief about it.
Yes, sir.
119 employees, you're running about 13. You said open, that's pretty typical.
Yes, sir.
What's your biggest need right now? What's your biggest challenge coming up for this FY?
Getting fully staffed.
Fully staffed?
Yes, sir.
Is that a function of, why is that your biggest challenge?
It's just, kind of the nature of the beast on the ground side. We have some guys that are, come in as groundskeeper, move up pretty quickly. And then, we see a lot of people jump from my department to, say, Public Works or to ESD just because of the pay of some of the other positions. But, it's something that we struggle with every year.
Okay.
HR does a fabulous job helping us, have hiring fairs and career fairs and everything else, and it's just
how many vacancies do you have?
16 right now.
16.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Just, I have a comment. Eric, we've discussed this, and this isn't necessarily a budget item, but I see all the important people in the room here, and I bring it up. Again, I hope we can help the neighborhoods across Hargrove Road from Snow Hinton Park during Kentuck. This past year, people were parking in there to the point that it made it difficult for them to maneuver. and I doubt an emergency vehicle could have gotten in there. So I hope we can do something to fix that problem.
Yes, sir.
Just say that here because all these folks are here.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Let's do OCE. Bill, I see you in here. Are you briefing the engineers? And then we'll take a short 5-minute break. Welcome. What page you on, Bill?
I think it might be on page 105, if I've got the numbers correct. So good morning. So 3 items that I think are worth bringing to your attention that account for the changes from last year's budget proposal to this year. 2 of them are closely related, 2 are larger than the third, but I'll address all 3.
I apologize. Hang on one second.
What's our page number, Bill?
That's what
I'm showing 105.
well, I'll go to 105. It's not on.
105 is IT.
That's
correct?
IT.
Sorry, apologies.
125?
Here we go, 125.
125.
And Mr. Busby, as you're finding the page, we have 1 park ranger that will start Saturday.
Right.
Sir.
Is there a specific park, Mr. Mayor?
I'll have to
Or
ask
all of
Chief. Right now, they have a large portfolio.
That's how they got.
All right, go ahead, Bill.
Sure. So as I mentioned, there's 3 items I'd like to speak on here. The first that I'll talk about is our staff. So between the portion of the OCE funded by general fund, as well as we have 4 inspectors that are funded by water and sewer, 25 personnel that are part of that make up our overall organization, not accounting for and speaking to any of the vacancies that we may see come and go, but the biggest change from last year to this year, addition of a deputy city engineer. So yours truly brought on board primarily to help Mike Gardner, who I think since the time he came on board was essentially running the team as well as doing his very important role of being the technical authority for the city. So bringing myself on board to help with the management of the team, bring some standardization to our operations, help with some of the administrative responsibilities of being department head. That's probably the biggest change that you'll see for the reason for the increase for the budget. Addition to that, we also are trying to increase the professional level of some of our personnel. So increasing professional engineering licenses across the team. Myself, Mr. Brett Blackburn, recently getting his professional engineering certificate, trying to achieve that goal. So that's the reason for some of the increases for things like training and education, licenses, other things, just to increase that professionalism of the staff. And then last but not least, that accounts for the majority of the change from last year to this year, bringing the bridge inspection program across from Public Works over into the city engineer department. I think it had been there as a legacy holdover from previous organization situations. There may be some
And
personnel.
Sylvan let go of that without a fight?
Pushed it with a fight might be the right way to say it. But no, it was a mutual agreement that that was the right thing to do, bring it on the team. So that accounts for the increase that you'll see in our outside services portion of the budget, sir.
Any questions or comments from the committee or non-committee members?
How many vacancies have you got right now, Bill?
Right now, 3 vacancies, sir.
Are those engineer level vacancies?
One is a civil engineer, a special projects coordinator, so some technical support for the engineering staff. And
Special projects coordinators, what we used to call secretary.
I'd say there's a little bit more of a technical nature here, so supporting the civil engineers and pulling together the technical requirements they need for some of their professional engineering.
Are we actively trying to find?
Yes, sir.
Is it posted right now?
There's one position that we have not posted yet because we're just working through some of the staffing to get that position posted and ready to go.
Bill, I think it was last year's budget, I believe we talked about the city paying for the educational upgrading of some of our younger engineers. Didn't we? Are we paying for them to acquire whatever the next licensing level is?
Acquire or maintain. So once you
Acquire or
achieve your
maintain.
professional engineering license, there is a requirement to maintain so many hours of professional education that you have to certify to the state in order to maintain that license. So some of this is increasing so that all of our civil engineers have that professional engineering license as well as maintaining that across the board.
What's your biggest challenge coming up next year?
Similar to what you've heard others, it would be maintaining the staff, but also to continuing to build that professional development. We have to be honest, a fairly junior staff of civil engineers, so helping to progress their career development so that we grow that into a mix of junior, intermediate, and senior level staff for the team.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Let's take at least a 5-minute break. Be back in here. Governor, I think we kick off with you. Okay, take your seats, please. Selman, what page are you on?
We're going to be starting on page 153, Counselor.
153.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes on behalf of Public Works. Before we dial into the dollars and cents of it all, I'd like to give you just kind of a few highlights of Public Works, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. Our daily efforts are guided by the mayor's 4 core values. We really take those things to heart. It's not about much of what's on paper. We hope that we exemplify that in everything we do on a daily basis. The essence of 2 of those principles guide much of what our workflow is, and that is excellence in customer service and stewardship driven by accountability. So those 2 things will represent a through line for everything else that happens within the department. It is how we make decisions, set priorities, and plan for the future. In service, Public Works answers about 6,000 311 requests annually. This includes animal control, traffic signals, storm drainage, and roadway maintenance. Those are our 4 categories. That 6,000 plus 311 requests make up about 40% of all the requests that come into 311 service. So Public Works is standing in that gap as best we can for how that works out. This does not include the 4,000 plus service requests that are answered through our fleet services issues. Those are not run through 311, but that is a big part of what we do on the whole. It also does not include any of the requests that we get outside of 311, which is also fairly significant. And can't say enough about the team that we have at Public Works that makes all of that happen. I certainly don't want to stand here and make it sound as though much, if any of that, is because of me. It's largely because
Can I
of
make
that.
a comment about your staff?
Say again, sir?
I hate to interrupt, but your staff, your Director of Operations, I think is what his
Yes.
title is, comes to see me almost every Saturday morning, just in case somebody has something. I mean, that's just amazing. Very, very helpful. I just was, when you brought up staff, that popped up.
Glad to hear it, and that's the culture we are trying to build in Public Works is that. Let's talk a little bit about the staff and that structure that makes all of those things happen. You should have in front of you a org chart that shows how Public Works is laid out. There are essentially 4 divisions: administration, streets and drainage, traffic, and our fleet department. Personnel-wise, Public Works will have 91 positions activated for this coming year. 5 of those show up in administration, 20 are in fleet, 26 in our traffic division, and 40 in streets and drainage. As of now, we are seeing about a overall 23% vacancies in our group. That represents somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 or 16 vacancies to this point. Those are largely seen in our streets and drainage area, which on the whole, that vacancy in that group alone is about 38%. There are a couple of things that feed into that, and first I'll answer one of Mr. Busby's questions of, is that historic? No, it's not, and yes, it is. Pick whichever answer you like. It's not historic in the sense of what our operational features have seen in years past. In fact, our operational sectors have probably enjoyed something much closer to a 95, 96% fill rate for most of its time. However, in the last couple of years, what we are seeing are a large number of our employees that are available and taking advantage of retirement. So we've got a number of retirements that fall in. Of our vacancies, I would say about 2/3 of those vacancies have come to us from retirement. The other third of our vacancies fall in what I would call a misalignment of career aspirations versus what our workforce expectations are, and we make no apologies for that. We understand and build in our culture at Public Works that you cannot get excellence out of a mediocre mentality. So we are very selective about who we hire. We are even more selective about who we retain. And we are taking this as an opportunity to make sure we are putting a team on the field that can deliver on the high expectations that our citizens deserve. So another part of our sort of challenges moving forward when we think about personnel in general is we are also taking this as an opportunity to really dial into what our department's efficiencies are. So before we hire any position, we're asking ourselves, do we need this actual position? Do we need it to function in the same way that it functioned in the past? Is there a more economical way to get around or provide the support that comes with this position? That is challenging in the sense of it spreads out what we are doing in terms of how quickly we can bring somebody new on board. It also means that my existing staff has to do more in the meantime while we sort that out. And again, I cannot say enough about everybody on our team's willingness to stand in those kind of gaps and make that happen. Because again, this is what we are trying to build for the future, understanding what is needed for that level of sustainability and being flexible for what the needs are in the coming years. So lastly, we can talk now about the dollars and cents portion of what you find in your budget book. It shows a $1,993,159 dollar decrease in our overall operations budget. That is after the employee benefits and compensations that went with that. That is, again, that deduction is largely due to the salary, benefits, and equipment that was transferred to ESD along with the sweeper service operations. So you will see, as with other departments, Public Work is largely level funded with a few exceptions. A number of those exceptions are highlighted in your budget book again. Last on that bullet point is $241,000, $284 shown for other expenses. That can be tracked through your budget book as a $2,000 reduction in our telephone service and administration. We've just discontinued a number of telephones and other sort of internet uses that we weren't using. A $4,000 increase in fleet for uniforms, a $180,000 in traffic increase for repair and supplies, a $2,000 decrease in our outside services for traffic, and lastly, an increase of $61,326 for tip fees in streets and drainage. All of those adjustments were done largely to just bring up those expenditures to actually what we are spending in operations on the last year's basis. Thank you very much for your attention. What questions can I answer?
So animal control is over here.
Correct.
Where does it?
Animal control falls under our traffic department, and it is shown in that line item under traffic, and we have 4 staff members that man our animal control group. That is 1 supervisor and 3 animal control officers.
How many vehicles?
They have 4 vehicles.
So you said you're running around a 23% vacancy.
Correct. On the whole,
And
and that's largely in our streets and drainage department.
impacted by retirement.
Say again, I'm sorry.
You said that's impacted
That is
by retirement.
impacted by retirements. We had a number of, and still do have a number of employees that are moving into that eligibility for retirement. So that number, I don't expect to change very much over the next couple of years.
What are some of the ways you're looking at?
So what we are trying to make sure, Counselor, is that our community don't feel an impact in it. So what we are doing largely from a management standpoint is dialing in on what our opportunities are to be more efficient. How can we manage that same level of work expectations and so forth with the group that we have on board? And we've managed to be very successful in looking at strategic ways to make that happen. For example, a number of our heavy equipment operators are fall into that vacancy. One of the strategies that we are using operationally to make up for that is how we strategically schedule our work so we can use what remaining heavy equipment operators we have across the board as opposed to just each individual group having their own.
Walk me through that, please. We strategically schedule.
So if you think of it in example, for example, we may have a heavy equipment operator that works on the concrete crew. That would be the guy that operates the track hole that digs up the broken pieces of sidewalk before they restretch it to lay out more. There's also a heavy equipment operator that would be on the crew that is installing a new drainage pipe. So what we will do is not schedule both of those works at the absolute same time. One might be a 3-day job, the other is a 5-day job. We'll schedule the 3-day job at the beginning of the week and the 2-day job at the end of the week, and one equipment operator can perform the work on both of those jobs.
Is there an opportunity or is there a desire to utilize? So if you're dealing with 20+% vacancy, and that's, again, retirements are impacting that, is there an opportunity or is it desirable to utilize retirees?
So we are doing that. We actually have 2 retirees that have come back and they do serve as concrete finishers on our crew. And we will be looking at that as an opportunity as we move forward as well. So that is a part of our strategic plan, is how can we utilize that staff that might be retiring but still interested in working a few hours a week.
And is our compensation plan for that able to address it?
Yes, because what happens is when we are pulling in those part-time or retiree employees that work on a part-time basis, we're also being sensitive of what salaries from other positions likewise that we cannot fill that then moves over and pays for those salaries of those part-time employees. So on the whole, the balance on the salaries is actually less.
Members?
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Selwyn. Y'all do a very good job.
Thank you,
Kelvin,
Council.
Before you step back, kind of the same question I've asked some of the others. For the upcoming FY, what is the biggest strategic concern you have?
The biggest strategic concern I have, Counselor, is time. Time and patience. We are looking at doing some exceptional things with how we work in public works, in terms of how we allocate staff, what our workload should be, what our work allocation should be, how do we work through each individual workflow. So everything in public works is on the table and being heavily scrutinized for how we can do it better. We're doing that at the same time that we are absolutely meeting every expectation and requirement of a daily basis. So as we pull those things together, it is going to take time for us to really make that look like something that you can recognize and say, here is what is sustainable as we move forward. So that's our challenge, is give us time.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Human Resources, come on down.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Doing well. How are you? Good.
What page are you on this one?
Page 101.
Why don't you start by describing for us your department? how you
Yes, sir.
organize, what your specialties are.
Yes, sir. So we are staffed for, we have 15 budgeted positions. Currently, we have 2 vacancies. One is the safety director, which we are actively recruiting right now. The other one is an HR specialist. You will notice that there is a decrease in our salary line item. That position is being put on hold for 6 months to generate some savings. So we have, of course, in my position, the deputy chief HR position, 6 HR officers. Those officers are responsible for different functions in HR, such as public safety recruiting, non-public safety recruiting, benefits, payroll, workforce development. And then we have staff that are support staff. They're HR specialists, and they support the work functions of the officers. And then, of course, we have a secretary senior that supports the entire department.
So which position is on hold? Is it safety director
It's
or
one of
HR?
the HR specialist positions. So what we're doing, of course, we want to generate savings, but also during this time, we're evaluating to see if it is a position that, you know, eventually we could eliminate by changing some of our workflows, or if it's something that we will continue to need in the future.
You have a public safety recruiter?
Yes, sir. Her name is Melissa Adcock. So she works very closely with the TPD recruiters as well as with the fire department.
How does that cooperation?
So,
What, I think the chief, Chief Blankley, I believe, has 2 people.
yes, sir.
dedicated.
Yes, sir, he
And
does.
does fire have their own, or do they need it?
Fire does not. They don't have actual designated
Okay,
recruiters.
so we've got 2 in TPD, we've got Melissa Adcox in your shop. How do they interact?
Yes. Melissa does a really good job. So what our staff does, of course, we post the positions. We interact with the recruits or the applicants pretty regularly. There's testing that has to be done. So we give the entry-level test. If the applicants pass, we set up psychologicals. They have to have psychologicals on fire, police, and also dispatch. And then there's making sure that the applicants have all that we need. As far as on fire side, they have to have the PAT and just different types of paperwork that they need also on the police side for the academy. So it's a lot of administrative work that Melissa and also Jennifer Smeltzer are very involved in. And then once they're hired, of course, we do orientation of the new hires. But then after that, there's also the assessment centers when it's time for the promotional process. So fire has a promotional process where we get together an assessment center that involves assessors from throughout the southeast, the same as police. But it's something that takes months of planning. So they are very, very busy all year with public safety recruiting.
And does that encompass generating leads as well?
I'm sorry.
Does that encompass generating leads as well?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I guess obviously posting
Right,
is one
right,
way to do that,
Right.
but there's certainly in either instances of a higher level where you need to go to nationwide searches.
right,
Or even a scarcity like we're experiencing
right,
with uniformed police officers.
right.
There are other ways.
And also, now Melissa, TPD, their recruiters, they are pretty regularly on the road going to different places. Melissa also goes to career fairs more locally than nationally, but yes, we do work hand in hand with the police and fire as well. There's a group of us, HR, police, fire, strategic communications has been very instrumental in helping with that recruiting process as well. We are actually getting ready to revamp our website. And the purpose of that is to make it more engaging so that when applicants come, they look at our website, they see more of the city and it tells more of our story. More engaging as far as actual employee testimonials, more about what it is or how is it to work at the city. You'll see much more of that on our website, more pictures, things that will make it more attractive and engaging.
Tell me again, the number, was it 15?
Yes, sir, we have
Personnel?
15 budgeted positions, and we have 13 currently that are filled.
So one of the initiatives referred to in the mayor's initial presentation of the budget was certainly the ever-increasing incorporation of artificial intelligence in those jobs where they can be utilized. And that, Sylvan's guys are pretty safe, all right?
Right,
It's
Right.
going to be hard to artificial intelligence
Right.
that road work. But inside here, there's much more opportunity. Where do you see the opportunities for that in HR?
right. So we do have a workforce development division of HR, and we have been meeting with some of our partners as far as Shelton, UA, some of our educational partners and others as well. We do realize that upskilling our employees, making sure that they are prepared and ready for AI is important. So we do have a workforce development initiative that we've been working on and that we will continue to work on with Mr. Moore's team in operations. So we definitely are making sure that we are prepared for the AI shift.
What's the biggest challenge you see coming up for your effort?
There are a couple, of course, like, upskilling and making sure that our employees are prepared as we start.
Upscaling?
Upskilling, making sure that they are skilled. Yes, sir.
Upskilling?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's one. I'm almost scared to bring it up, but it keeps me up at night. Health insurance
That's the one I want
costs.
to hear about.
Health insurance cost is definitely, and it's not just at the city, it's everywhere. Nationwide, healthcare costs are skyrocketing. So I would say that is something that causes me to lose sleep for sure. And we are working on ways to try to reduce the impact of that, but it's going up everywhere. And so that's one that's pretty big. And then, of course, making sure that we are attracting and retaining the best and brightest here at the city. Right. So the CDL program is actually going outstanding, and last year that program transferred to ESD, Chris's department, but we have a CDL trainer that's doing an outstanding job. Our pass rate continues to be outstanding, and we are training our folks, and they are doing a great job. And JJ Keller, right, right. And in our CDL training, it's so much more than just teaching the employees to drive. That's why we wanted to make sure we could do it in-house, because we want them to not only drive but operate safely. So we make sure that they are taught how to do their inspections properly for pre-trip, because that's very important, making sure that they're safe on the road. So we've been very pleased, and we thank you all for granting us that position. Absolutely.
Howard, Mr. Eaton? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kreitz, how are you this morning?
I am good. How are you this morning?
Great. What page are you on?
We are 137.
All right. Start us with how you organize.
Yes, sir. So I have 41 employees in 4 divisions. My biggest division, of course, is building and inspections. I've got 20 within building and inspections. Next is codes and development services, where I have 10. Our planning division has 7, and then our administration division has 4 within it. And so we've just got those folks. We've got a few vacancies right now. I think our most notable vacancy is and continues to be our director of building and inspections. That position, of course, Mr. Boswell vacated at the end of February. We have a second round of interviews tomorrow, so everyone please cross your fingers, hold your breath, that we are able to find a great candidate for that position. But outside, go ahead.
Why would that be a difficult position to find?
That position has been a challenge to fill because of just the want. There were a lot of, Mr. Boswell left some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And I believe fully that the right candidate is out there that is going to be good to my people, to my folks first, and also to the external folks as well. And so we have a great pool of candidates that I think will fill both of those shoes, and who are willing to take on that salary as well.
Okay.
It's a well-paid position.
And does it require engineering or building?
No, sir, but they do have to get some certifications within that first year through the International Code Council.
All right, go ahead. So 40, 41 total?
We have 41 total with 5 vacancies right now. So 2 within building and inspections, though we have made an offer on our mechanical inspector. We're just waiting for them to be on station. We have 1 within codes and development services. They'll be on station next Monday. And then 2 within planning. We've made an offer on 1, and then we just posted a zoning administrator position. So that's pretty typical for our office to maintain a few vacancies here and there.
So 5 out of 41, around a little more than 10%.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay.
We have been very busy with codes and development services. They are up this year 36% on 311 cases, which is kind of insane, especially with overgrown grass. We have been knocking out some overgrown grass in your districts. Well, I mean, it was rainforest season earlier this year, and I think we've all experienced that. I think our repeat offenders have met some unpleasant interactions and met some large bills. And we're proud of that, quite honestly, because we don't want folks living next to overgrown grass. We want the folks who have invested in their neighborhoods to reap that benefit. And so our code enforcement officers have been extremely busy. And I hope you can see that within your districts as well.
I can see.
Thank you, Mr. Vail. Our planning staff is getting into the swing of our new codes. You've seen a couple changes come in front of you. We are still wrapping up the subdivision regulation updates. That is something that will not have to come to you as a council. That is solely for the Planning and Zoning Commission, but it is something that is outstanding for that office as well. So, outside of that, urban development continues. Yes, sir?
Remind me, who are your key subordinate leaders in there? I ask because there's been some turnover. Who's doing what?
By name?
Yeah.
Sure, okay. So I've got Zach Pons, who's our Director of Planning. Will Smith is our Director of Codes and Development Services. And within Building and Inspections, Turnley Smith right now is our Deputy Director of Building and Inspection. He's our highest within that. And then, of course, I'm over our Administration Division.
And what y'all just finished, with the framework,
Yes, sir.
has that eased the load on your people? Is there a collective group sigh of relief, or does that just open the door for now the hard work of making it a reality?
I think there has been a collective group sigh, both internally and externally. We talk to folks on the outside and they say how easy our code is to navigate now. Not that it's an easy, that it's a simple code that doesn't have any rules, that it's an easy code to navigate. There's no guesswork anymore. Our previous code, there was so much guesswork, so much uncertainty, and now they can go to chapter 25, find out what the rules are before they come to apply, which is fantastic. That's what we want. We want predictability for folks.
And what is the biggest challenge you got coming up?
I think the biggest challenge for urban development is finding that mix of meeting our external stakeholders, meeting the public where they are while also being innovative. I think for a very long time we were a little bit stuck in a lack of innovation, and that meeting folks where they wanted to be kept us from being more innovative. And so we're trying to turn that battleship just a little bit at a time.
Give me an example.
Building and inspections, for example, paper applications, handwriting, which leads to a potential for error on an input. The more you're having to have people typing things in, the possibility for error increases. And so we'd like to go to a more technology-based situation for building permits, for example. And so we're getting there. Yeah. Any questions for me?
Do you Eric and Liz used to be in ombudsmanship?
The ombudsman, yes,
Was that
sir.
in UD?
No, well, so the ombudsman position in the long ago, far away, pre-operations, there was an ombudsman within urban development.
Okay, so it's not.
Economic development moved with operations, and so that business relations officer is housed within the Office of Operations.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
You. There we go. What page are you on, Sarah?
Thank you, Mel.
Good morning, how are y'all?
Great, how are you?
Good. So I wanted to provide you all with a copy of this updated org chart for strategic communications. It's changed pretty drastically since last fiscal year, so I'd like to walk you through it if that's okay. So within the last fiscal year, our executive secretary retired and our deputy left. Those two positions were cut for their salary lines to fund Richard's new position as government relations and external affairs. So those two are gone from our budget.
But that position's not in this office, correct?
Correct, that's moving into the mayor clerk's office. So those two positions are gone. As Jason mentioned last week, we also transferred our 2 AV personnel from strategic communications
Our
into
two what
IT.
personnel?
Our AV, our audiovisual personnel, we transferred them from strategic communications into IT. So that's 2 more positions that were in our budget line last fiscal year that will not be this fiscal year. So then the 2 other changes, so we had 2 vacancies, a public relations and external affairs manager position. That was my old position. That one was vacant, and we also had a marketing and communications manager position that was vacant. Because some of the external affairs pieces that used to be in my old position are going with Richard to his new position, what I did was take the marketing and communications manager, add the little bit of PR that role will be responsible for into that role. And instead of hiring 2 managers, one for PR and one for marketing, I'm hiring 1 manager to manage both of those things.
Walk me through that one more time slowly, I'm sorry.
Sure. So Richard took external affairs, which used to fall under my old role, public relations and external affairs.
Right. and
External
what
affairs went with
bodies-
him.
What bodies went with him?
So our external affairs are like the chamber, the,
No, I mean, what people?
no people,
just
just
him.
him himself.
Okay.
And then, because my background is in PR, I will still remain as the main media liaison for our media. So that's a big chunk of the PR manager position as well. So that's how I got to 1 person can be responsible for managing marketing and communications rather than hiring 2 new managers to do each of those roles.
Okay. So executive secretary's gone?
Yes.
No plans for replacement?
Right, we are not replacing the executive secretary. What I would like to do is, since we're not rehiring 2 managers, is to hire an office administrator. So 1 manager and 1 office administrator who can handle our payroll and our personnel and all that.
Okay. Deputy director gone.
Deputy director is gone, yes, sir.
And then you moved up, so your position empty.
Right.
So what is that, 2 manager level?
Yes, sir, we had 2 manager level positions that were vacant. And because some of those duties went with Richard into his new role, we're hiring 1 manager and 1 office administrator.
And is that in this budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, so our new structure for strategic communications, the office administrator, and then there will be 3 manager level positions. So the marketing communications manager will have 2 senior communications specialists and 1 communications specialist reporting to them. We have a manager of web and digital strategy who has a web developer reporting to him. And then our 311 call center manager has our call center representatives, both senior and regular, reporting to her.
Okay. On the left side, marketing and communications manager.
Yes, sir.
And that person will have 1, 2, 3 senior communications specialist.
Yes.
What is that?
So the communications specialist is the entry-level position in communications, and it encompasses a bunch of different things. Functionally, right now, these 3 are acting as our graphic designer, our public relations communications specialist, and our marketing communications specialist. So one of them does all of our design work, one of them does the majority of our PR, and one of them does marketing, which includes events in the amphitheater.
Manager of web and digital strategy.
Yes, sir.
And they have a web developer.
Yes, so there's 1 web developer who completes website maintenance, who does, completes tickets when people need updates on the website, and then the manager of web and digital strategy is in charge of maintaining all of the city's websites. I think we have like 18.
And then the call center manager, there's the manager, and
Yes.
there's 6
Correct.
levels of representative.
Yes, sir.
That's 6 people answering
Answering
phones.
the phones,
and-
yes, sir. 1 person managing them.
Has that changed?
No, sir.
when was that, 2 years ago? When did that migrate over to strategic communication?
I don't remember exactly.
Brendan, you remember?
When did 311 become part of Stratcom?
It was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
4 years, that's actually one. Tell our forces.
I don't have my glasses on, I hear Richard's voice. Okay. And Cheryl, which manager, it's this one on, the manager and communications manager that's replacing your job, is that right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the updated org chart. Looking here on page 163, you'll see the overall salaries and benefits decrease of $279,000. That's because of all of that movement that we just talked about. So 2 people moving into AV, Richard moving into the mayor clerk's office, those contribute to that salary decrease.
So there's no plans to, we talked about the executive secretary position.
Yes.
The deputy director position,
Yes. Those are both gone. No plans to replace those.
gone.
And then outside of that, the decrease of $1,000 in auto and fuel maintenance is because the only people in our department who were using the pool car were the audiovisual personnel. So we transferred that car over to IT with those personnel. So we will no longer have a pool car. And then the other decrease in operating expenses. So we have 2 line items in our budget. One is for recruitment and one is for public education. In each of those line items, we had people in other departments who are spending out of those line items. So police and fire are recruiting. Police and fire do public education as well as ESD does public education. All of those marketing dollars flow through us, which makes sense. But we also had their travel cost for their recruitment personnel or for their staff members who are going out to public education events. We had those costs in those line items as well, and decided through this year's budget process to put those back into their departments because it doesn't make sense for us to be managing those. So that contributes to that decrease. And then we also went through with operations and IT and took a look at all of the softwares and services, softwares and subscriptions that Strategic Communications was paying for, and found any that we could consolidate with IT or any that weren't being actively used anymore and cut those out of our budget as well.
What's an example of those?
So we were using a password manager called LastPass, and IT has an enterprise password management system. So we switched from LastPass to IT's password management system, which allowed us to stop paying for the LastPass subscription. So things like that.
Okay, so the recruitment dollars that you were talking about,
Yes, sir.
those were previously dollars that were placed with you to effect recruitment communication strategies for everybody.
Yes, sir. And we're maintaining the majority of those dollars because the majority of them are spent on marketing and communications efforts. The only pieces of it we pulled out were related to travel for employees that are not in my department.
And so partly related my question to Ms. Kemp on the interaction between police recruiting, HR recruiting, and now Stratcom recruiting.
Yes, sir.
Communication. How do you track and assign accountability with that breakdown? I mean, if it doesn't get accomplished, who does it belong to?
I think all of us, I think we're all taking responsibility to work on this effort together because we realize that it takes more than HR to recruit, that it takes more than police officers going to career fairs to recruit. We've got a very comprehensive marketing and communication strategy both for police and fire. Police has their own recruitment website. We're working with HR on their own recruitment website. It's one of the most important things facing the city of Tuscaloosa is making sure that we can continue to recruit and retain the most highly qualified personnel.
And who develops that strategy?
We do it as a partnership between the public safety offices, human resources, and strategic communications.
Can you give me an example?
So right now, we have a police recruitment campaign that is timed to be in conjunction with a game day safety public messaging. And so we want people who are coming into town to know about how much TPD and TFR are doing to make their game days safe. We want it to contribute to people's understanding, people who live here and who visit. We want to contribute to their understanding of how safe or how safe Tuscaloosa is. We also want to take advantage of the fact that there are 100,000 people coming into town, and some of those people may be interested in becoming police officers. And so we want to hit them with Join TPD recruitment messages at the same time.
How is that going?
Well, it'll kick off for real on Saturday.
Well, I don't mean that's physical. So what are you finding the most difficult or challenging to recruit for?
I think that some of
Is
the
it high-level engineers? Is it lawyers? Probably not. Police officers?
police officers.
Police officers.
Yes, sir.
And how is the recruiting strategy that comes through strategic communications adjusting to address that?
Sure. So a lot of what we do is kind of A/B testing, right? So you put one set of messages, A/B testing. So you put message set A out with this audience and message set B out with this audience, and you see which one is resonating more, and then you shift your marketing strategy towards which one is resonating more. And so a lot of
What's resonating?
resonating means people are clicking on the ads. And
No,
going
I
to
know
the
what
TPD.
resonating means. When I said, what's resonating most?
What's resonating most depends on where the audience is. So for example, our strategy right now in the Birmingham area is focusing on how safe and family-friendly Tuscaloosa is. But if you're recruiting from more rural areas, then you can focus a little bit more on how well compensated our police officers are, how high-tech our equipment is, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all have any other questions for me?
Bro, Ms. Howard? Even or Ms. Trail? I think not.
Thank you.
Thank you for this presentation. Okay, that's all we've got scheduled for this morning. Sure. Tomorrow we'll begin moving through some of the agency presentations. I will get with Landon and Jennifer, Savannah, right after this, we'll talk about that. Any questions, comments from any councilman, mayor, staff? Okay. Thank you all for being here. See some of you tomorrow.